The Escalade is Cadillac's most recognizable model on the road, and for decades, it's really had the best reputation. I'm driving a 2026 Platinum Sport, and this is a carryover of the 2025 refresh, which brought all new front-end styling, bigger wheels, and way bigger screens and comfort on the inside. Let's go take a drive. The Escalade, after 5 generations, still makes a big statement. This one was new for 2021, it got a refresh for 2025, and it carries over for 2026 with just some minor trim level changes. This truck inside and the outside, you know exactly what it is. It feels special, it looks special. And for this much money, at over 100 grand, well over that, is it still worth it? From the side or when the wheels are turned, that's what you notice. 24s. General Motors has never offered that before, and all the wheels on every SUV out there, especially in the luxury segment, are getting larger. 22s are still available, but you really want these. I think you do. What you don't want, though, are the puny brake rotors. They are so tiny for a wheel that large. They definitely won't have the stopping power that you require. If you order the V-Series, though, they upgrade to Brembo 6-piston calipers. They're red. Definitely a lot more stopping power that should be standard, and you can order that as an option. I would recommend it. Now the rest of this truck just looks pretty. It has for the whole generation for the last several years. This is deep sea metallic. It's a newer color. It kind of looks darker like a navy at times, but then it shines and it looks very rich. I love how it looks on this truck, and this is the Platinum Sport trim, so it darkens the grille. I like that too, because all the chrome, to be honest, is a little too much. The Escalade is out of that era, in my opinion. It just looks a whole lot classier. On the taillights, you'll see that there's a new LED marker lights there, new tracings. Otherwise, they're still 3 feet tall, absolutely gigantic. And in the front, instead of those thin LEDs that were on the top, those are now ultra-thin DRLs. The headlights are now vertically stacked, just like on other Escalade IQ and other electric models that Cadillac is now bringing to market. This truck has always been a good looker, and in this generation, I don't think there's anything anyone can complain about except maybe parking it. You gotta have the room. Upper trims of the Escalade have power opening and closing doors on all sides. You can adjust how far they open. You can use the touchscreen, or you can just step your foot on the brake to close it, like here. This is all stuff that used to be available just on Rolls Royces. Genesis has it on the G90. It's gonna be a party trick, that's for sure, but it actually is cool, especially if you're getting picked up at the airport. The Escalade's cabin, especially up front, has always been pretty good, but now it's getting upgrades from the Celestiq, which costs over $350,000. This 55-inch curved display, this lower display, the metal rotary knob, all of that is from that Cadillac flagship. Well, it's on the Escalade now, and gone are the Chevy-grade shifters and the controls, but left over are buttons that are still in kind of weird places, like the climate control and the drive modes, and too many buttons, I think, were taken away. I also see some quality issues. That is not okay. But Cadillac, if you don't look too close, does do a pretty good job at this price level. But aside from quality control, where Cadillac really gets it right are these angled inlaid pieces of wood. They are absolutely beautiful. The aluminum trim, this wool-like fabric covering the doors and the lower portions of the dash. This is the type of Cadillac design that I like. It just needs to be executed like this all of the time. The second row is always where it's at in an Escalade. Now at this price, this is just okay. But if you spend another $7,500 plus, you're getting an executive package for the second row. That makes these seats massagable, they cool, they're power reclining, so they don't actually have the fold down mechanism like you'll find in here. It looks so much more high end. There's tray tables, there's wireless phone chargers for each seat, another screen to adjust everything. It truly is the executive cabin that the Escalade has promised for years. Right here, it really should be a lot better for $130,000. And even the third row, which is roomy, they're not even heated in the outboard seats. I think Cadillac needs to do more. Cargo space is enormous. Behind the third row, over 25 cubic feet. With that row folded, just about 73. With both rows folded, over 120 cubic feet. And if that is not enough, you get the Escalade ESV, which is longer and has over 140 cubic feet of space. Nothing in this class anywhere touches an Escalade. The Escalade still has a pushrod V8 in 2026. Old school 6.2 liters. If you think about 6.2 liters, that is roughly 3 times as big as an ordinary SUV that normally would have a 2-liter engine. And it still sounds pretty good too. There's nothing artificial coming through the cabin. It's just good old V8. And the shifts are good. And when you're really on it, it'll go into more of a performance shift mode and shift even quicker when you're in the sport mode. And because you have a V8, and because this is over 6,000 pounds, you get some of the worst fuel efficiency in the car market, but similar to what you'll find in other big body-on-frame SUVs. So it's not worse, it's just is what it is. 14 city, 18 highway, and 16 combined for four-wheel drive models. I say four-wheel drive and not all-wheel drive because this does not operate all the time. It's primarily rear-wheel drive unless you're switching it into four high. It's also a four low system when it really gets rough. And there's an auto system, but it doesn't actively switch it unless you've already started to lose traction. So it's a different setup. If you're not used to truck-based 4x4 systems, it's going to take some getting used to. But Cadillac has had this forever, so essentially it has not changed. It's very capable. Now the Escalade is a body-on-frame truck, and that means it's based on a pickup truck chassis. It's very rigid, which is why it can tow just over 8,000 pounds. That's great. It's still not the class leader. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer does about 10,000. The Infiniti QX80 is about 8,500. So surprised really given all this strength that Cadillac doesn't rate it higher, especially with this V8 engine. But that said, it's a very strong frame, but it's also slightly more brittle of a ride because it's not a unibody. That just means that the frame itself being detached from the body, it tends to just give you more rattles in general. On this truck, you don't feel any of that. You just feel maybe shudders from time to time over some rougher surfaces, accentuated by the fact that these are 24-inch wheels and tires. Like just going over that bump, you feel more of a shudder than you would in some other luxury SUVs. But I will say Cadillac does really dampen it down, literally, with adaptive magnetic dampers, which are magic. They work in everything from a Ferrari to this Escalade. They react so quickly. And when you couple that with the air suspension and a fully independent suspension, well, the Escalade is more car-like than you'd expect. The steering is also pretty decently accurate. This is a gigantic truck, and it doesn't really require that many course corrections. It also doesn't lean very much either, which is really very comfortable, I would say. You don't like to have that body lean like previous generations. I'm talking way, way, way ago. So this vehicle, honestly, you're gonna feel comfortable with up to 8 people inside. You won't feel like you're honestly on the edge of your seat. And if you are, there's extra bolstering here on these front seats. They're incredible. I didn't mention it before, but it's semi-aniline leather here, and the quality is excellent. It truly is top notch. Lots of adjustments. So unlike a lot of other, say, recent past of General Motors, where they just gave you these flat chairs that just were out of their base pickup trucks, it's so much better now, and you really will feel, at any body size, you'll feel comfortable in here. Even though the noise is actually really pleasurable, the Escalade's V8, it doesn't accelerate as hard or as quickly as the twin-turbo 6s that you'll find in the QX80 or the Grand Wagoneer or the Navigator. So, again, sounds good, but old school at this point is really just old school. It does help, though, that because GM does have cylinder deactivation, that this engine is nearly as efficient, roughly the same, as those turbo 6s. So for efficiency's sake, you're actually not doing worse in an Escalade. But for power, I think for this price, they're gonna start to have to increase the engine output here. And not the 682 horsepower V-Series, but just something in between, or just replace the V8 entirely and give us a turbo 6. I hate saying that because I like V8s, but the reality is these newer engines from competitors just do it better. Super Cruise, the automated hands-free system that I'm not going to demonstrate right now. You've already seen it. It's only gotten better. Works on nearly every highway in America. And it is one of the best hands-free systems. It truly is, and it's a feature that really very few other competitors other than Lincoln offer at this level. So that's excellent for technology. Also, the augmented reality that you'll find here. You can see everything right in front of you. So if you want to see navigation, signs, everything overlaid right in front of you in the instrument panel, that's there. You also have night vision, it'll track pedestrians, that's there. So many useful features of having such a big display, and it's used in a way where it's right in front of the driver. The European SUVs, and even other American SUVs, don't do this. A gripe that I do have on the Escalade is really the noise. It's not the tire noise, I can get past that because they're a little louder, being wider, being larger. There's more wind noise. Like, whenever I'm in an Escalade, I never find that everything is properly sealed right. It always sounds louder to me than competitors. And to me, at this price, there needs to be more insulation, more deadening. It's still quiet, but not quiet enough for $130,000 quiet. It's not. Good, but should be better. In terms of handling though, the Escalade always impresses. It's not sporty, but it grips the road. And again, it doesn't roll, so you have such a big vehicle, and it's fine. The braking under light braking feels okay. But honestly, this is something I've always said about Cadillac and General Motors. They purposely put small, undersized brake rotors to save costs, and then they leave it to you, if you want to tow, to upgrade to the bigger brakes. That should be standard. So do yourself a favor, check the bigger brake option if you get an Escalade. You're going to thank me later. The center part of this giant curved display is a touchscreen, but it's so far that you have to lean. So the curving is nice in theory, but really, you'll probably want to use this rotary controller, but then it does this, and it doesn't look as good. And obviously no one wants to operate CarPlay with something like this. In fact, guess what? You can't. You got to go all the way back here. So this to me is a misstep. I really liked how the pre-refresh Escalade in this generation had everything right in front of you and it was easier to access. But I will say I prefer this to the Navigator's display, which is way further out, and it displays useless information. This actually has everything you'd actually want. You can customize what's over here, for example, under vehicle status. So certain things will pop in and out. If you want to just see the trip information, you can do that. I'm not going to reset that because I like how it looks. You get Google Maps. And you get all your apps. You can record from inside or outside the car with all the cameras. Cameras don't particularly look all that good. That resolution, especially on this display, not up to standards by now for 2026, but tons of settings. And my favorite is the stereo. This is an 8KG system. 38 speakers. It sounds absolutely incredible. You really have to hear it to believe it. It rattles the mirrors inside the truck. It's like an old school with the giant subs and everything, only it's from the factory. Phenomenal, phenomenal system. And it has Dolby Atmos stereo, surround sound, great, all that good stuff. Again, more settings, easy to adjust. A lot more settings, however, are below. So I miss the physical climate controls that used to be behind this screen, but it does look good, I will say that. And this is lifted straight from the Celestiq. So if you bought a Celestiq, I don't know, that seems kind of a foolish decision when you can get an Escalade for a third of the price. Now, that being said, is this easy to use? Yeah, that generally is. The temperature is there, the fan's here, but to go to the fan direction, I've got to go to a different menu. Now, if I also want to turn the headlights on and off, I've got to go here. Where am I going now? Lights. Headlights. Now, this is way too many steps for a critical vehicle control. I completely disagree with that. What is good though, the doors, right? You can affect all of them, all four. So I can open the right door, stop it if I so choose. They've got radar sensors, so it won't hit you, at least supposedly. So far, they've been great while I've had it, but this is an awesome feature. What is this icon, you say? Of course it opens the glove box. Why couldn't you tell, right? It's ridiculous. Cadillac had a latch, and now they don't. There's no reason to be removing controls that work perfectly well. Swipe down here. There's also more controls that you wouldn't get from up in the upper screens. But again, I would really like to see some of these actual buttons. And what the buttons are here, they're actually kind of hard to find. The four-wheel drive system is all the way to the left. The drive modes are also there with the air suspension. And then there's a button down here, which turns the climate control on and off. It's like, why couldn't you have fans here? So anyway, who knows? I'm not an interior designer, but I really like the way the Escalade looked before with more physical controls. This passenger display, it's kind of cool. You can add wireless headphones, you can watch YouTube, you can do stuff from the passenger seat. I guess this is fine. Again, what's the point? Just to have it? Yes. The backseat passengers already have it. Plenty of settings here. It's kind of weird to me that this would be on while you're driving. I think it does turn off in some instances, but really, is this what you really want to see in your luxury SUV? Maybe you do. To me, I think it's better if this was just proper the way it was before, where this was a leather-lined dash. Now, to me, this screen is just really just in my way. And this, for the most part, as a passenger, I'm not going to look at this. But you tell us, would you actually use this, or do you just like the way it looks? The instrument panel side, which is non-touch sensitive, Cadillac removed some of the sensors that were here. There was a separate screen to let you adjust what was on the display. Now you do it from the steering wheel. And I can switch here to Google Maps, go back to CarPlay, which actually will also show the maps. Didn't expect that. Driver assistance functions, helpful when you're using Super Cruise. Night vision, which is great. This will actually illuminate pedestrians in a yellow box, and it'll show you what's really warm. Right now it's saying it's unavailable because it's obviously not dark enough. And then a really cool Cadillac feature that no one else has, augmented reality camera. This will actually show you the road in live feeds. It will always stay on, and it will overlay street signs and arrows right in front of you. The problem is the way the steering wheel and the dash and how it's curved, the way this is now versus how it was pre-refresh, you can't actually see everything as easily. And what's here, you can't even adjust how these gauges look. So there's actually a lot of wasted space here. And it's a little odd when you're looking straight ahead and you see that the instrument panel is tilted. I don't think this was the best look. I think it looks cool when everything is off, but functionally speaking, I like the pre-refresh Escalade better of this generation. The 2026 Cadillac Escalade starts at $97,000. There are 6 trims. The one we tested with destination, the Platinum Sport at $129,000 with those 24-inch wheels. The competition, the Lincoln Navigator, Infiniti QX80, GMC Yukon Denali, Jeep Grand Wagoneer. The Escalade has always had a ton of street presence, but now it has luxury features like that, which are not actually a gimmick. This truck is competing in a rarefied air of $100,000 plus luxury SUVs, and now it's finally feeling like it's worth it, especially with the optional executive rear seat package. That's what the Escalade has truly needed to separate it from GMCs and Chevys, and of course, all of the BMWs and Mercedes that have a lot of those features already. Now, the Escalade, I think, is definitely still very pricey, but it holds up. And Cadillac, even though the build quality on every vehicle they make isn't world-class like they say it is, this model really is elevating what Cadillac is all about, and it has stayed that way for basically almost 30 years. There's nothing else like an Escalade, and that's why it's still sticking around, and for 2026, it's still one of our favorite full-size luxury SUVs. For more reviews, check out CarGurus.com, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.